Willy's Interlagos, Brazil's forgotten little racer. For us Americans, Brazilian automotive history often remains quite a mystery, quite elusive. Yet it's a world where Willys, known for the G, formed a dominant sports car embraced by such racers as Bert Clemente. Brazil, a country that has gifted the world an astonishing roster of high-level drivers, surprisingly lacked their own sports car throughout the 1950s. Despite fierce market demand at the lower end, it wasn't until Volkswagen do Brasil in the late 50s announced that they were going to start producing the Volkswagen Karma Ghia.
The Volkswagen Karmann Ghia is the most economical sports car you can buy. It's just not the most powerful.
That other manufacturers took notice. Willys Overland do Brasil was the dominant manufacturer here in Brazil, and they had nothing in their roster, nothing at all. WOB's president, William Max Pierce, needed to come up with a plan. He needed to present something to the hungry consumer base. His vision emerged from France. Pierce found the exact car he was looking in the Alpina. The 108, sharing many of the Dolphin components, boasted a sleek, aggressive design that contrasted drastically with the Dolphin's appearance. This allowed WOB to quickly gear up for production. Without massive sales, no problem. They were able to come up with a viable business plan for this. Pierce secured the contract in Europe back in 1961. Initially, Renault supplied the components, but WOB moved very swift, commencing improvised production in a factory outside of Sao Paulo, named the Interlagos after the nearby iconic racetrack. Willys initially debuted the car at the Automotive Salon in Sao Paulo in December 1962. Impressively, after 138 units were already produced. Those were times of bold decisions and fast-moving entrepreneurs. And Willys indeed beat VW to market. Boom! Goal! The Interlagos was made of fiberglass, enabling hand-built construction without expensive presses. A simple round tubular backbone structure connected to the front and rear axle. The engine, married to a 4-speed transmission, were bolted to a square frame at the rear, forming a true monocoque design with cross braces and the engine fiberglassed in for a solid structure. The Baronella Fastback was a mere 1,177 pounds, 700 pounds less than an Opel GT, 300 pounds less than a Triumph Spitfire, and 100 pounds less than a Lotus Elite. Considering its feather-like construction, the Interlagos power output was significant. The base engine was a Gordini-tuned 845cc inline 4, producing 32 horsepower. Mind you, it only weighed around 1,000 pounds. It made a top speed of around 81 miles an hour. This is back in the early 60s, so that was pretty good. And since this was a little racer, performance rapidly escalated. For its final production year in 1966, only the Berlinetta was offered. It boasted about 60 horsepower. While Alpine moved away from this layout, the Interlagos maintained it. The suspension was much reminiscent of early 356 Porsches, addressed its known rear-end instability with coil springs and shocks. The front featured independent double wishbone suspension, and braking was hydraulic drums. The interior was very well finished. 2 leather-clad seats were pretty comfortable, being if you could fit into them, and they were available in black or red. Fancy. There was an oak and leather dash that was very beautiful. The interior was just so well put together for back in the day. And there was no luggage space. Yes, you ain't putting your bags in this car, honey. Then she says, some of these could be stored behind the seat, and then I could wedge more things in around the tire in the front, next to that battery. I think it's crucial to specify the Interlagos amazingly small stature. It is pequeño niño. It is very tiny. It has an 82-inch wheelbase. It is remarkably short. I think like maybe the Lotus Elite might be like maybe the closest comparisons, but it's like 4 inches longer in the wheelbase. The only other one that really comes to my mind is like an Austin Healey. Like those are tiny little cars if you ever seen those. Those are cool. Maybe even an MG Midget would be the same thing. But you know, these old British cars, they're made of metal, so they're very heavy compared to a little Interlagos. And when you look at an Interlagos, it has 15-inch wheels on it, and they look huge. They look oversized on the little baby. The Interlagos, when you have a nice motor in it, it is surprisingly quick, like kind of scary quick, you know? With the 4-speed gearbox and the 4.73 gearing that it originally had, it can truly rocket out of the corners. And you know, when you're driving one of these, just like a 911, you really have to have some caution. You're going to have the famous understeer. That butt is just going to whip around. You know, an overzealous correction can make it snap back the other way, but if you know how to drive one of those, you could really use it to your advantage. You know, in the hands of a skilled driver like Emerson Fittipaldi, that's a very good attribute for a car to have. Absolutely humiliate unprepared competitors. Up until 1964, you know, the Interlagos was really a force to be reckoned with, achieving 17 podiums and 10 outright wins in over 62 major races. Just famously oversteering through every turn, sliding sideways. And you know, this little baby never got a fair crack at the world. She was never displayed on floor room shows. You had to order her through catalog. They say it would have seemed out of place, but I just say, hey, you're making the Interlagos have one wheel tied behind her back. Being exclusively ordered throughout our production run, with a total of 744 cars being produced, Willys Overland American leadership really didn't know how to market on this, or they, you know, really didn't care. In 1967, Henry Kaiser's son, the guy that owned Willys, decided to sell it all off with his Brazilian amigos. Sold the entire Brazilian operation to Ford for $40 million. And this marked Willys' exit from the Brazilian automotive industry. And as time slipped by, the Interlagos progressively slipped from the public's eye. For a long while, the Interlagos was only preserved by some really hardcore automotive enthusiasts. If you have a chance to pick up one of these little Interlagos, you really should consider doing it. Tell me if you've ever seen one, if you've ever gotten to drive one. I've seen them for sale on Marketplace. They are so cool. And if you like what I'm doing here, think about subscribing, giving a thumbs up, and please leave me some words down in the word box. I love hearing your guys' input. But like I always say, I'll see you on the flip side. Até a próxima. Ciao, ciao.
What the fuck?